Alright, hello guys. In this video we're going to start to take a look at how the winter has gone so far and our expectations for the future near and far. We're going to go over how the temperatures have been over the first 20 days of winter, or 23 days approximately of meteorological winter, and we're also going to take a look at January, February, March, and kind of give you guys a rest of winter forecast. So talking about the forecast from now till the end of winter, it's going to be very, very exciting to take a look at. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends and family if you think they will enjoy it. Now, let's get right into things. First things first, we're looking at our temperatures from the beginning of weather winter, or meteorological winter, which starts on December 1st all the way through to the 23rd, which is today, and we're going to take a look at how the winter has gone so far comparatively to normal. So let's take a look at that right now. So we can see we had colder than normal conditions for the upper Midwest, some areas in the northern Great Lakes regions, as well as through into the New England, northeastern, and some portions of the mid-Atlantic states have all been in the blues and greens, which is in our negative temperature regions. We do have a little bit of warmth there for the southeast and the central United States, and especially out there in the western United States. So most of the cold has been over the north central and northeastern United States so far. Now we're about to start talking about what we expect as far as the temperatures moving forward, talking kind of the medium range into January, and then also talking about February and March after that. So it's going to be very, very exciting to take a look at what we're forecasting as of right now. As you can see, this is our forecast from the 24th of December through the 3rd of January. Not looking too good. We are expecting warmer than normal conditions for basically the central and eastern United States as a whole. This is the CFS model, by the way, which typically has a warm bias, but I definitely agree with it on this one. We are headed into at least a week, week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks of pretty good warmth over the central and eastern United States. And you might be thinking, man, that doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound like what my winter forecast originally sounded like. But don't worry, rest assured, I'll talk about why this doesn't really matter that much. We can see over the west coast we have colder than normal conditions. I think that's worth mentioning as well. So that might bring our average temperatures for December a little bit down for sure. Now, this is when things start to get super interesting. You can see we've moved to where now we're looking at the 3rd of January through the 13th of January, and all of a sudden everything flips around. Colder than normal conditions for the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, Northeast, and Southeast, as well as the central United States as a whole. We can see the South Central, maybe a little bit of Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota there, a little bit warmer. But for the most part, the central and eastern United States are completely below average temperatures now, which is the opposite of what we were seeing from the 24th through the 3rd. Very, very interesting and looking very, very cold. We're about to take a look at the 13th through the 23rd, where things are going to get even more interesting for the month of January as we head forward. Now, as you can see, the Midwest and some of the central United States warms up a little bit, but we still see New England and the northeastern United States actually getting even colder than they were from the 3rd to the 13th. So from the 13th to the 23rd, things are looking to cool down for the eastern United States, even though they were already below average. So far, January is looking really good for the east coast of the United States as a whole, as we see a lot of those dark blues and even greens and even light greens in through New England, which is going to be areas of 10 to maybe even 15 degrees below average during this 10-day time period. It's worth mentioning, though, that the Southwest is also looking quite cold. It's really the Northwest and the North Central United States that are looking warm during this time period. Let's move on and look at the entire January forecast from beginning to end on the CFS model. Also, it's worth mentioning that towards the end of this video, I'll show you NOAA's forecast for January as well, and their entire winter forecast, which is also going to be very exciting to take a look at. You can see that January as a whole overall is looking very, very cold. Those first 3 days are for sure going to be warmer than normal, and that's not going to help the East Coast, but we saw that towards the middle portions, at least, it is looking very cold for the eastern United States, specifically in through New England. But really, we see the Northwest, through the central, and then into the northeastern United States, all below average. Overall, on the CFS monthly forecast, it's looking like a very, very cold January for the entire United States, with the exceptions of a few areas like the southeast coast, extreme areas of the southeast coast, right along that coastal regions. and then some areas for the Four Corner States and the mountains of California, but very small regions seeing below or above normal temperatures. For the most part, the entire United States is looking quite cold for January. Now we're about to move on and look at your February forecast, which is going to get even colder than January, so super exciting stuff coming up here. As you can see, that cold moves eastward, and we see the central and eastern United States cool down. New England even way colder than we saw in January. So we see those greens, even the light greens there, and even into those deeper blues for Maine. That's where we're looking at 10 to 12 degrees below average for Maine. Very, very cold temperatures there. Overall, looking quite cold for the entire central and eastern United States. Again, maybe with the exception of Florida and some of those southeast, very, very coastal regions. We see the Four Corner States and some of those Rockies warming up a little bit, but there is some cold patches out there in the west as well, so not necessarily just going to be warm. So that was the CFS model's outlook for the months of January and February, but let's go ahead and take a look at what NOAA is thinking for the month of January, and then also what they're thinking for the entire winter as a whole. Very, very cool stuff. So here's what they're thinking for the 6 to 10 day outlook. So this is going to be from now till about the 1st of January. This came out a couple days ago, or yesterday actually, so it is a little bit behind, but we're expecting colder than normal conditions for the southwestern United States and very warm temperatures comparatively to normal for the central and eastern United States. We've already been over that though, but just showing that NOAA agrees with that for sure. Let's see what they're showing for the month of January. And this is actually a very good look from NOAA. You might be thinking, wow, that cold is pretty far north. Typically, NOAA is very conservative with where they show the cold. So to see them showing this much is actually very, very good sign, especially for the upper Midwest and the northeastern United States, and especially New England. But I think that in that white area, we will see a lot more cold dip further south into areas like Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, or as far down as, I guess, into Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia. I think that it will be much further south with the cold. So it's very, very exciting to show the cold mostly centered over the eastern and central United States, which is not something they typically would do. Now, as far as the winter as a whole is concerned, here is what they're showing, especially the Great Lakes and upper Midwest in that cold, but we have equal chances for the East Coast. Again, probably going to show up as colder than normal in most of those white regions. Very exciting to see NOAA on board with the colder winter idea. Now, we're about to get into a little bit of our oscillations and talk about why the pattern has been so warm over the last few days and why it's going to be warm for the next week or so. Very super cool stuff we're about to get into. Now, if the super technical portions of weather really bore you, this might not be for you, but we're about to talk about our Maddon Julian oscillation, or MJO, which is an oscillation that I've not really covered before, and then we're going to go over our normal oscillations possibly as well. So we see that there's 8 phases to the MJO, and I'll go over what that means in just a second, but you can see that phase 1, phase 2, and phase 8 are really the mostly cold phases for the eastern United States, and phases 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all warm for the eastern United States, and that's basically all you got to remember. So 1, 2, and 8 are the phases you want for cold in the east. Now, here is a graph of where we're headed. You can see there's different triangles, and each one has a number, so you can pick out where 8, 1, and 2 is. It's on your bottom left corner, and then also towards your top left corner as well. You can see 8 is up there, and then 1 and 2 is in the bottom left. The green and yellow is where we're expected to go, and you can see we don't go towards 8, 1, or 2. We actually go towards 7, 6, and 5, and this is over the next 14 days or so, or through January 6th, actually. So we can see that we're not really expected on the GEFS model, which is what this is, to go anywhere near the cold phases. But here, as we introduce the GEFS and GFS model, the GFS is found in the blue, and then the GEFS is found in the green. We see that blue one goes towards 8, 1, and 2, which is our cold phases, and that's very exciting to see. So the GFS thinks we go in the cold phases. The GEFS takes us back towards the warm phases. That's a big difference, but still, I think that we're expected to go into a very cold pattern headed forward after the next 1 or 2 weeks. Now, here's our AO. I wanted to briefly talk about our other oscillations. Our AO is expected to go negative for a bit here until about the 28th, and then go positive until about the 7th of January. So that's going to be a pretty warm look for the foreseeable future, the next week or so, like I said. Beyond that, it's hard to see, but the models do think we get colder after that point. Here's your NAO, or North Atlantic Oscillation. We want this one to be negative, and it does stay negative just like the AO for the next few days, but then it goes positive once again from about the 30th through the 7th of January. So again, kind of following suit with that little bit of warmer pattern headed forward. Then we see our PNA, which we want to be positive, but this one's going to stay pretty neutral over the entire model run here through the 7th, so this one isn't going to be too much of a factor. And then last but not least, we're going to take a look at our EPO, which is our East Pacific Oscillation. We want this one to go negative, but really it stays positive through the 7th. So this is why I think we will be warm until about around the first week of January is done, and then things start to significantly change after that point, especially if these short-range oscillations follow suit. Anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed this winter thoughts or winter forecast video. It's been a very long time since I've done one of these, and I thought it's about time we checked up on what's going on, and I'm sure you guys have been wondering too. I hope it was super informative. Let me know in the comments what you thought. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Be sure to share it with your friends and family as always. See you guys in the next one.